So we're going to have our fireside chat now in just a moment. We'll be welcoming Jean-Michel Scheuren to the stage. He's the CEO and co-founder of Novobiom, and you can find them just over there, just a bit over there to the right, and you can go and chat to him afterwards. When I first spoke to him, it was on a very busy Thursday. I was having one of those days where, you know, you would tear your hair out if you had any. And luckily, I didn't have any hair to tear out, but also I was able to speak to Jean-Michel, who put a huge smile on my face with his wonderful personality, but also his ideas for what we can do in the future. So if we can all put our hands together for the wonderful Jean-Michel. Have a seat. I'm afraid I didn't bring my fire.
So. Yeah, you didn't brought the fire.
We'll just have to bring the fire between us.
Yes, perfect.
There we go. So, Jean-Michel, lovely to see you again. Can you give us a quick rundown of how you ended up where you are today?
That's a good question. Well, I'm in the sustainability field. I started when I was 20 years ago. I didn't know what to do. So when I had to choose the studies, I chose the studies about business because I say business it's everywhere, so it's always a nice open choice. But I quickly went towards saying, okay, business alone in regards to emerging challenges that we had, it was 20 years ago, say we need to take in consideration sustainability. So I merged business and sustainability. And I went into that, and I had a kind of additional full training about environmental management and sciences. I had the chance to be trained by the former vice president of IPCC on climate change in 2002, 2003. And the causes and what always strikes me is that I had in mind that we were speaking about 2020. 2020, we need to change. 2020 was the objective, 2020, and everything. And then we arrived 4 years ago in 2020. So I look back and say, okay, we're still in the same situation, even worse, and we're still speaking about the same things. But the world changed, though, and I think now the momentum is a bit different, so that's amazing.
Yeah, from when it was 2020, now we're aiming for 2030.
Yeah, exactly. 2050. Yeah?
Exactly, let's just change the number. So the big question, how can we show people how much fun fungi can be? I'm really sorry, that was really bad.
Fungi are amazing, but it's really looking back into what fungi is about. And I come back on what brought me to sustainability and the change in my life, and what brought to me a different perspective about sustainable challenges is that at one point I crossed a topic about biomimicry and how to take inspiration of nature and how that can drastically change the way you think about sustainability. So because you used to come from a paradigm where you have social, economic, environmental pillars, and you have to combine them. It was a sustainability paradigm at that time. And every 2 years you have a new concept in a way coming in. But honestly speaking, so we are on a living planet, and sometimes as a human species, we like to solve problems. And we like to think that we're the best species to solve problems. And I like to think, okay, but life on Earth evolved over the last 3.8 billion years and created amazing things. And one key principle about life is that it creates abundance about scarcity. It optimizes everything. And the evolution process itself had made it possible to valorize the maximum of the resources that we have on Earth and to maintain them, and to see the world in which we're living today, which is quite amazing. And sometimes we step back and say, okay, just look at nature. How does nature work? How can we take inspiration on how that works to drive our own processes, our own innovation, our own way of thinking, way of behaving and driving? It can be very upfront R&D, could be things. That for me was a really change moment. When say, okay, you don't need to be into a concept. It's a concept that speaks by its own. You just have to look in a way, and you have an infinite possibilities of solutions, of inspiration. But it's not an easy journey.
Yeah, well, that's it, because we look at the solutions that are out there from nature, and there are millions of solutions in nature. Nature doesn't normally bring the problems. That is usually the human race that brings the problems, but we can look to nature to solve them. So your view of sustainability has definitely changed in the last few decades.
Yeah. And that brought us also, to come back also on what brought me to the fungi, and the fungi, I don't know how you call it.
Fungi, fungu.
Is that indeed, if you look into nature indeed, as was mentioned earlier on, so fungi is the fifth kingdom of life. So they shape nature as in life, how we know it. And earlier mentioned there are about 6 to 11, 12 million fungal species out there. We barely do not know exactly how many. But just 100 are currently used. Used in a sense of for being food, essentially, but also in biotech processes. But when you see what they can do, I always call that they are the recyclers and the chemists of nature. So they can break down the most complex molecules that you can find, that we build in a way that you can also naturally find in nature, but also produce amazing chemicals, facilitate a lot of processes. So they are this kind of super powerhouses. But this potential is not new. So we know that since a long time, but we have like of huge trends in science, then we focus on different aspects, and now we see that the notion of fungi is currently coming back, and that's the chance that we have today. Is really nice to see that in this kind of event we have a session speaking about the potential of fungi into sustainability, where I truly believe they have a tremendous role to play.
Absolutely. And so Novobiom,
yeah,
that's you. You are the co-founder, CEO, champion of Novobiom.
Yeah.
What is it?
What is it?
Yeah,
exactly.
What does it do?
But that's a natural continuation about the thinking about how can we take inspiration from nature, seeing environmental challenges that we're facing. And it came from the starting point that it's super important to change the way we behave and to prevent further degradation of our environment. But it's also our collective responsibility to restore what has been degraded. For us, but also for the future generations. It's super important. And in that sense, we said, okay, how can we work? We see the tremendous potential of fungi. How can we use that? How can we work with nature to rehabilitate, to restore what has been degraded? And that was the starting point. And then you start thinking about it. Okay, how do you do that? How do you make it possible? What are the bottlenecks into scaling fungal technologies? And we're not looking into food. Food is an amazing sector. Nutraceutical potential, it's amazing in fungi. But we on the, if you have earlier on the presentation, you saw the map from MicroStories. You see a huge population on food, materials, on health, and then you have a little branch on environment. And on this little branch on environment, where I think we have the most important challenges, there is almost nobody. But everybody tells you that fungi in soil are amazing, that they're nature in soil, they're doing everything there. They store carbon, they degrade, they're the recyclers, they're major actors into cycling nutrients, so they actually fascinate them. You find them everywhere. You find them in the sea, you find them in water, on the soil, on the trees. So fungi are everywhere, and they play a really key role in environmental sciences. So, but that does not make a solution out of it. So the key aspect is how we can leverage these exceptional capacities. And that's where current development in technology comes back in. Because even so, if you want to take inspiration from nature, you need to understand it. And that's where we're working on. And that's what we're building with Novobiom, is really first understanding how this knowledge, how we can use the knowledge. Then we go for genetic tools, genomics tools, scouting. That's like opening up the black box of life, understanding what's behind, understanding the code, like opening a software code. Not to change the gene, not to do GMO, but to be able to really identify how does nature be able to degrade complex compounds. How can we use that into process? How can we steer processes into soil remediation, where we, like soil remediation, is one key challenge on which we're working on. In Europe, you have 2.8 million contaminated sites. 600,000 of them have been identified as needing an urgent intervention, so representing a threat to the environment, to our health, but just 15% have been treated so far. And most of the techniques that you have there currently is you take the soil, you dig it up, you put it in the truck, you drive it 200 kilometers away, and you put it in another hole in the landfill. You just take it and you burn it. We as a human, we all love that solution, is that we're doing fire chats since ever. So we've done know to do something with it. We just burn it because it works. But it has consequences. It's fossil-based, we're releasing CO2 everywhere, so it's fossil CO2, it's a mess everywhere. So, but working with nature can work, and that's what we're driving is. It's when using fungi to treat these complex contaminations with the biological means, avoiding to transport the soil to a distant center, being able to treat it localized. But that's not simple. This means that we need to understand, we use technology to really steer these processes, go back into the genetics, do models, but also identify which is the best fungal strain. So we're speaking about 11 fungi out there, 11 million fungi. So we collect extreme organisms coming from this extreme environment, heavy contaminated sites, waste streams, natural forests. I love to go out in the woods, so when I see a nice mushroom, I bring it back to the lab. But it's also for me. But it's also important, so we have over 300 fungal species down there. We try to understand them, we qualify, we see what they can do in terms of degradation, what pollutants they can degrade, but also there's another wonderful thing about that, is that I mentioned fungi are chemical powerhouses. So they produce amazing chemicals. They have the capacity to produce a lot of green chemicals that can become substitutes to actual fossil-based fuels, fossil-based products. So it's really helping, and that's the other phase of what we do, is not only trying to restore what has been degraded, but also helping other institutions, other organizations, switching, finding new potentials into using bio-based ingredients, bio-based resources to change. And that's also part of it. And that's the second aspect. So we collect mushrooms, we love them, we build them, we try to understand them. It's an amazing journey. And then comes the last pillar of it. Because if you want to bring change, you need to think a possibility to help actors into that, to scale the impact. At the scale, it's nice biotechnology, but it's usually in the lab. So what we do is that we use, and we want to go fast, we don't want to reinvent the wheel, so we use already mature technologies, but from different sectors. It's really crossing sectors to scale the processes with solid-state fermentation aspects. So that's a bit about Novobiom, but this journey where we started from the soil brought us today on amazing opportunities. We're working on textile waste recycling, for instance. So textile is an amazing problem. In a way, it's a massive industry. We're all wearing textiles. And there's almost no solution for recycling. So we're producing 10 million tons a year of textile waste in Europe.
And we just send it somewhere else, or burn it. 78%
is usually transformed into fire chats, and I'm kidding, and fire fires, or send out to other countries. But there's a premise, and we do not see it as we see that as a resource. So what we're designing is how we work on using fungi, mushrooms, to valorize that waste streams. It transforms a waste into amazing resources where the mushroom grow well. They are super adaptive. They love it. So we use them, they grow on the textile, they eat up the cotton, the natural fibers, while producing amazing chemicals. So we use them, and we use these chemicals, these amazing products for other industries. And at the end of the process, we're even producing green energy with it. And then we recover the synthetic fibers for further recycling. And this is what I call the potential of fungi, is how we can drive that. And I'm really happy. Do you stop me when you want to ask questions?
No, I love this. Great.
And I see the change. So I say that it's been a long time, I'm looking at what's happening in the fungal world. I'm doing a lot of different things. And I always say we didn't change, but the world around us changed over the last few years. And you see the evolution of the map of the actors in the fungal scene is just impressive. It's needed also. But you see also a change into large companies, we all have a role to play. And we're the lucky ones. We got very lucky. We're happy. We have like a very nice partnership with one of the major company in the cosmetics, L'Oreal, where we're really looking into how we can use this power of fungi to help them contribute to their objectives, sustainability objectives, in terms of ambitious sustainability objectives. And this is actually the true power of fungi behind, is we can do a lot of things with them. And the true potential, I think they can unlock amazing potentiality in the circular economy, in the waste sector, in the bioproduction. And indeed, we are just at the beginning.
Right at the beginning, and people can obviously find out more if they come over to your stand just over
course.
there. They can see your beautiful mycelium root there as well. So if you want to see mycelium, it's live right over there.
Just straight.
Straight over there.
Across everything.
And you'll find him there with a nice big mycelium root. So
I even have chocolates, bunch of chocolates.
You got chocolate?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see you guys later. I'm just. So we've got about 3 minutes left. I want to ask you. Now we talked before about people when changing and adapting and changing their own behaviours. I'd like to know what these wonderful people should take away from today's session. Obviously, not only about fungi, but about making change in general. What would you like these wonderful people to take away from this session?
I was thinking more than from the session. I was saying from the session.
More than the session, then?
Yeah, I'm saying. Okay. Starting from the session, remember one thing. Fungi are amazing. You can do many things. So if you have a challenge with on a waste stream or not something, think about fungi at one point, and they probably help you out. I think more globally speaking, and my personal thing, and I go back to taking inspiration from nature. And I think one of the simple key leading principle about nature is that nature creates a condition for life. And that's this basic principle. So life works, life creates a condition for life. And and myself is like a compass. So in my actions every day, in my job, in what I do I create the conditions that are in favor of life or not? Do I support life or not? And this is a simple question, but I have tremendous consequences in the way we behave, in the way we choose, in the way what we do, in what we consume, and what we can do. It is a simple question. And we don't need to overthink it. We don't need to invent a concept every 2 weeks.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you
can. Invent loads of new concepts if you want.
Well, you need to fashion. It's like fast fashion.
Fast fashion, yeah. We need new, always new. Let's not do that.
Yeah, but now we can. We need that in a way to keep us alive. But I think in a simple question sometimes, just seeing that, and sometimes just go out into nature, and you realize what is possible out there. It sounds a bit cheesy maybe, but it works for everybody. And I think that's the most important. And if you cross a mushroom and on your walk, just think about what exceptional organisms they get and all the potential that they have and what they can do. And maybe you think about Novobiom, saying, "Yeah, I heard about it. People were trying to do that with them." So it would be a nice takeaway, I think.
So takeaway is what I'm doing helping life, basically? Is it helping create life? Well, thank you very much. I could sit here by this warm fire for the rest of the day and just
order a coffee,
relax,
maybe.
have a coffee. Yeah,
and I ask somebody to bring some chocolates, and then
they can bring it over here. And
I think so too. Maybe somebody can grab some chocolate.
Yeah, that'd be good. I'd love to do that, but I'm afraid I think the people back there might get in trouble with that. So if everyone could give a huge thank you to Jean-Michel. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming along. Remember, Novobiom right over there. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you.